somehow you guys, and when I say you guys, I am referring to my Republican colleagues, pretend as if you are the heroes of the story. But let me remind you who set the House on fire. It was y'all. So let me go ahead and handle these receipts, because I know that I always have to have proof, even though I guess our education system is failing us, because it seems like facts don't seem to faze people that vote for y'all. But I'm going to do it anyway.
Let me just say this. What you're about to hear is wild. Marjorie Taylor Greene is back again, and this time she's acting like Elon Musk is the new leader of the country. Seriously, she's standing in Congress saying the American people voted for some made-up department called Doge, and that we all wanted Musk to come in and fix the government. That's just not true. No one voted for Elon Musk. He wasn't on the ballot. People voted for better healthcare, more affordable housing, safer communities, not for a billionaire to take over like this is one of his tech companies. She's trying to make it sound like Democrats are just mad for no reason, calling it fake outrage. But we're speaking up because real people will get hurt if they start cutting government programs without thinking about who depends on them. Now, instead of saying more, I'm going to let you hear her for yourself.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My Democrat colleagues are reacting with manufactured outrage over Elon Musk and the Doge team going in and cleaning up the federal government. They're saying the American people did not vote for this, but I would like to correct that record. On July 13th, when President Trump was shot in Butler, Pennsylvania, Elon Musk got behind President Trump and he endorsed him. And then on August 19th of 2024, this is before the election, Elon Musk posted on his own account, "I am willing to serve," and that right there says Doge. This was not something that was created after the election. It is no surprise to the American people. As a matter of fact, the Department of Government Efficiency was a key part of President Trump's campaign, and President Trump campaigned over and over again on Doge and Elon Musk helping him. As a matter of fact, right here on Rolling Stones, which is very far left, by the way, Trump says he would give Elon Musk a top role in his administration. Again, this was on August 20th, 2024, well before the election. This was no surprise to the American people. The American people love Doge so much. They love the concept of saving the federal government, saving Americans, and putting America first, cutting the waste and the spending, cutting down the size of the federal government. They love it so much, they voted for President Trump and elected him with an overwhelming victory. He won the popular vote, 312 electoral college votes. It's the Democrats that are the ones that are still lost on their message, and their message is a failure, and the American people spoke out about it. As the national debt approaches $36.5 trillion, our children and our grandchildren's futures are being sacrificed at the altar of wasteful government spending and corruption. With my new subcommittee on Doge this Congress, we are going to dig deep on the wasteful spending and corrupt bureaucracies that have plagued our nation for far too long. We will make recommendations to address these problems, and we will make sure the American people know exactly what is being done with their hard-earned tax dollars. After all, this is what they voted for. Governor Reynolds. In Iowa, the state legislature passed a bill in 2023 that lowered the number of cabinet-level departments from 37 down to just 16. So I'd like to ask you, did this make the Iowa government more efficient or less efficient?
More efficient.
I'm not surprised. Is the Iowa government still able to provide all the services your constituents require of you?
We're actually doing a better job of it and putting more money into the programs or returning it back to the taxpayers.
Amazing. It sounds like Doge has already worked in Iowa. Has your state lost money or saved money since reorganizing its government?
$217 million, surpassing our 4-year projection in the first 18 months, and that's conservative. We're going to continue to see savings, and that's how I'm going to continue to reduce the tax burden on our taxpayers.
That is incredible. That's what all of America wants. So how do you think the federal government can translate what Iowa has done to the national level? You've already achieved it in your state. How can we replicate that?
You're doing it by bringing the private sector in, having them take a look at the inefficiencies in government, look at the systems, look at the duplication, look at the unaccountability. There's no transparency. There's no metrics. There's no data that they can point to. We're standing up Iowa Doge. We want to be a partner in that because I think it's really important that the federal government and the state government and the local governments work together to really implement transformational change. This is an incredible opportunity. I have so much respect for President Trump to put this initiative forward. He received an undeniable mandate in this last election, as did we. We now have supermajorities in both the House and the Senate, the governor's office, and an entire Republican delegation that we've sent out to Washington, D.C. We did just what President Trump does. We told Iowans what we were going to do, and we followed through with it. And that is what Americans expect, and that is why 77 million people said that President Trump is who we want to restore America's greatness.
I absolutely agree with you, Governor Reynolds. Thank you. Mr. Schatz, in all your years at your organization, can you give some of the most egregious examples of government spending you've seen? And I know that's hard to come up with a few because there's a lot.
I talked earlier about broadband programs. It's not necessarily a wasteful expenditure, meaning something isn't trying to be. There were 133 broadband programs in 15 agencies. There are people that are still not connected, I am sure, also in Iowa. $42 billion for the BEAD program. Not a penny has been spent. We want people to be connected to the internet. It's critical for our future. But unless those programs are consolidated and someone figures out which ones are working best, we're not going to achieve that objective. It seems simple, but again, the problem here has been, as it usually is, something isn't working, spend more money, create another program, don't take the time to look at how it's working, and that's what DOGE and your subcommittee is going to do. And we're happy to help any way we can, by the way.
Thank you, Mr. Schatz. And you're right. Under the Biden administration, they actually canceled contracts with Starlink, which are far less expensive, and then never built out the infrastructure for broadband. True failure for the American people. Giant waste of money. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Now see, that right there is why we need people like Representative Jasmine Crockett in the room. Because when folks start pushing these wild ideas like handing over government power to Elon Musk, somebody's got to come with the receipts. And Crockett? Oh, she came ready. She shut all that fake outrage down quick. Republicans want to act like they're cleaning up the mess. But she reminded everybody loud and clear, they're the ones who started the fire in the first place. And instead of owning up to it, they're out here acting like they're doing us a favor. Crockett also brought the facts. Trump added nearly $8 trillion to the national debt before the pandemic even hit. So let's stop pretending like he was some budget genius. And what she said about oaths? That hit deep, because you can't just ignore the Constitution and hand power to someone who was never elected, no matter how many Twitter fans they got. And look, she even gave credit where credit was due. She told the Iowa governor straight up, Democrats do want efficiency. We just don't believe in skipping the rules to get it. Anyway, y'all got to hear her for yourselves. Watch this.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. It's the faux outrage for me. It's as faux news that I'm hearing, because somehow you guys, and when I say you guys, I am referring to my Republican colleagues, pretend as if you are the heroes of the story. But let me remind you who set the House on fire. It was y'all. So let me go ahead and handle these receipts, because I know that I always have to have proof, even though I guess our education system is failing us, because it seems like facts don't seem to faze people that vote for y'all. But I'm going to do it anyway. So when we talk about debt, I'd ask for unanimous consent to enter into a record this article that says Donald Trump built a national debt so big, even before the pandemic, that it'll weigh down the economy for years.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you so much. In fact, it talked about the fact that he ran up our debt almost $8 trillion. It was estimated to be $7.8 trillion at that time. And this is it's actually the third biggest increase ever under any presidential administration. So I don't understand how y'all gonna play the heroes. I also want to just kind of be clear about some basic level setting of civics, because it seems like civics is evading us. And listen, Governor, I actually appreciate you. I know that in today's times, for whatever reason, if you got a D or an R in front of your name, it has to be all hostile. Listen, I am a former business owner. If I was not sitting in this seat, I would still have my law firm, but we have rules, right? So I'm not allowed to practice law. I'm not allowed to do a lot of other things because ethics decides that that's not really a good thing to make sure that the American people can trust that I don't have any divided interest. In fact, we do that for people that run our treasury typically. So I'm curious to know if you have an elected treasurer in your state. And you do, actually.
We do.
I know you do because I looked him up. And I'm curious to know. So it's my guess that he's the one that actually controls all of the treasury systems that you have, correct?
Some of the investments.
He controls some of the investments, but also monies that need to be disseminated by the state, that's done by him, correct?
Department of Management and the Treasurer's Office.
Okay. In the treasurer's office.
2 separate agencies.
Okay. But you have an agency that does that, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And as you are having this agency do that, these are people that have some sort of ethics that they have to follow, I'm sure. I'm going out on a limb because I don't know how anything works in Iowa. I'm just being honest with you.
Yes.
Okay. Here is the deal. I want the American people to understand that Democrats are not against efficiency. In fact, the last time that this country actually ran to the extent that there was a balanced budget and actually there was a surplus, it was a Democrat in the White House. His name was President Clinton. So we are not against this. What we are against is this idea that we will evade the Constitution or we will evade our own constitutional. In fact, it's not even an invasion. At this point, it feels as if y'all have just decided that y'all are going to castrate your constitutional duty and hand it over to someone who is unelected. It doesn't matter how many cheerleaders he had on the field campaigning for him. That doesn't mean that he gets to go in and sit atop any of our agencies. And the fact that we had a vote today and we asked to bring him in because we have a constitutional duty, we all took our oath, and maybe some of y'all just don't take it seriously. But I take it seriously when I take an oath to do a job, and my job is to look out and make sure that we don't have any kings or queens in this country. But it seems like y'all have decided that it's going to be Mr. King and his queen, and y'all can pick which one is which. But either way, I want to also talk about Governor. I'm curious to know if you know the answers to these questions. Which party controls the White House?
Republican.
Which party controls the Senate?
Republican.
Which party controls the House?
Republican.
Is that about what the makeup is in Iowa?
Yes.
And that has allowed you to be able to get your agenda across, correct?
Yes.
And you haven't had to bring in somebody to basically usurp any types of norms because you worked through the process, correct?
Well, I did executive orders,
Yes or no?
2080
Yes or
agreements,
no?
and then
Yes-
went
yes
to the
or no? Because
legislature
we've
as
only
well.
got
It wasn't all of the
I'm
above.
gonna reclaim my time because I
All of
only
the
got
above.
so much time left.
All of the
I
above.
also want to point out that you specifically talked about that you recently had 3 national declarations for disasters, and I want to enter into the record a unanimous consent. Trump moves to abolish FEMA, shift disaster response to states.
Without objection.
And my
so ordered.
final unanimous consent I'd ask says that Mike Johnson's budget plan is at risk of collapse, even though we know that y'all control all 3 levers of government. So if this is what y'all want to do, then go ahead and clean it up and fix it and just go through the process. And honestly, there's nothing that we will be able to say about it.
Order.
And with that, I will yield.
And that's exactly why we need to pay attention to these hearings. While some folks are out here trying to hand the keys over to billionaires, people like Representative Jasmine Crockett are standing up and speaking truth to power. She made it clear. Real leadership means following the rules, telling the truth, and actually caring about the people, not just putting on a show. If we let them rewrite how government works, just because they don't like the outcome, where does that leave the rest of us? Thank you for watching, and remember to stay woke. See you in the next one.